Hello again, I'm Celia. This is the second video in a three-part series. If you haven't seen the first one, it's about the background research surrounding play, a little bit about the controversies regarding play, and also a little on the different types of play. This video builds off the information given in video 1 to clarify what we know so far. I am going to focus on executive function skills and prosocial behavior so that you know what they are and why they're important to child development as a whole, and what they mean for school readiness in particular. I'll also talk about the evidence connecting executive function skills and prosocial behavior to play. By way of a reminder, the type of play I am focusing on is imaginative play, primarily fantasy-oriented play, in which a child imagines some aspects of an alternate reality that has elements that are not possible in real life. The links for other videos are in the description. And remember, when you see on the screen parentheses with a name and date, here's an example, that is referring to the research that I looked at. I'll have a list of all of them at the ends of all the videos in case you're interested in reading some of them. So let's start off with the idea of school readiness. The phrase itself seems pretty obvious, and I imagine that most people would define it by flipping it around a little bit. School readiness means ready for school. The tricky thing is what each person means by ready. Does that mean knowing ABCs, counting, knowing colors, writing your first name, all before kindergarten? Does that mean being able to sit with your legs crossed and pay attention, but not have to read yet? Does that mean wanting to be at school? Does it mean that parents are ready for a kid to be somewhere other than home for the school day? School readiness is a general term that does not have a specific list of items to check off, but many schools will have a certain set of skills a student needs to be able to do before moving from preschool to kindergarten and kinder into first, based on their particular curriculum. Research in child development, and in particular a growing understanding of brain development, have led people away from a strict set of what needs to be known, like this many letters, numbers, or colors, and closer to viewing readiness as a child being able to make the transition to formal schooling easily and positively. Time and again in the research, the two main areas of development that set the stage for school readiness are executive functions and peer interactions that we call prosocial behavior. Let's take a look at what they are and how imaginative play helps them develop. Executive functions are higher order thinking processes that allow people to override more automatic thoughts and behaviors, like, I'm frustrated and I don't understand, so I'm going to scream, for more adaptive and goal-directed responses like, I'm frustrated and I don't understand, so I'll raise my hand and ask a question. Executive functions can be divided into cool and hot functions. These two types are distinct from each other because they develop in different areas of the brain. Cool executive function skills are different aspects of a cognitive control system in the frontal lobe that include working memory, attention, problem solving, and flexible thinking. Working memory refers to short-term memory that is used for immediate thinking, like processing what is said or remembering numbers. Early EF functions have been shown to be stronger predictor of elementary math skills than either IQ or processing speed, in addition to being a protective factor for students with possible math learning difficulties. The connection between cool EF and school readiness is pretty clear. Children who can pay attention and process information are going to make the transition to academic learning more easily. Hot executive function skills have to do with an affective or emotional control system that is shared by the orbitofrontal cortex and the limbic system. These skills include waiting for something wanted and regulating reactions in social situations. Being able to wait and being able to control behavior consistently are as important to learning as academic readiness. In fact, lower levels of hot executive functioning skills are strongly associated with problem behaviors in school settings. The two types of executive function systems often work together, so try not to think of them as isolated from each other. That said, it is the hot executive function system that governs emotion regulation and so plays a direct role in peer relationships. One of the constructs that we use to describe this regulation is called Affective Social Competence, or ASC for short, and it helps us understand what processes contribute to children's positive social adjustment. There are three parts to ASC: sending emotional messages, receiving emotional messages, and experiencing emotions. I hope that you can see that when these three components are successfully developing together, a child is able to learn to interact positively with others, which is prosocial behavior. Prosocial behaviors are numerous and include helping, showing concern for others, and working with others towards a common goal. Within a school setting, prosocial behavior is vital, particularly when you consider how much time of the early childhood school day is spent learning with peers and requires social interaction. Positive peer relationships are associated with higher levels of school performance, school involvement, and school attendance. And now to connect all this important for school readiness development information to imaginative play. You may recall from the first video that imaginative play can be divided into sociodramatic play and fantasy-oriented play. Sociodramatic play is when a child pretends to be a person, whether fictional or known, that has real-life qualities that the child cannot experience firsthand, like being a fireman or a teacher. Fantasy-oriented play is also a type of role-playing, but in it a child pretends to be an animal or sets the play in an alternative reality that has elements that cannot happen in real life, like being a superhero. The data from various sources shows a strong link between imaginative play, prosocial behaviors, and the hot executive function system because this particular type of play allows children a context to practice emotional control skills, monitor how others feel in the play scenario, as well as experience a wide variety of emotions that real-life circumstances might not provide, like saving someone from attack or bravely battling a monster. Some of the most interesting research about the connection of fantasy-oriented play to executive function skills has to do with a concept that has been dubbed the Batman effect. Young children are notorious for having a hard time waiting. This is largely due to brain development, and the ability to wait or delay getting what we want generally improves with age. That said, when young children are given the opportunity to pretend to be another character, like Batman or Dora the Explorer or Superman or even Rapunzel, they can wait longer than their age and stage would predict. The very act of pretending allows them to utilize executive function skills slightly outside their usual ability. While the effect is, arguably, temporary, it is real practice wrapped in an imaginative context. A group of researchers at Tel Aviv University extended the study of the Batman effect by monitoring children's behavior and words when they were given a red cape and reminded of Superman's patient characteristics, or given the same red cape and reminded of Dash's not-so-patient characteristics. The findings showed rather convincingly that Superman can wait, but Dash does not wait so well. Fantasy-oriented play has been linked to more than prosocial behavior and delayed gratification. It has also been significantly linked to increased working memory and fewer errors when rules switch, increased emotion understanding and regulation in both boys and girls, increased cognitive inhibition skills, cognitive flexibility, and attention shift. This is probably because imaginative play, particularly fantasy-oriented play, demands greater EF skills as children have to constantly keep track of the rules of reality and the fantasy play in which they are engaging, as well as monitor their play partners' reactions, as well as negotiate to achieve shared goals. Some of these gains are not as strong when pretend play does not have a fantasy component, i.e., when it is only sociodramatic play that is largely based on reality. The research data supports the conclusion that imaginative play does positively support the development of executive functions and prosocial behavior. There is other evidence, though, that shows that not all children have the same practice with pretense or pretend play. This can be because the family or culture doesn't value it, or because the family doesn't have as much time or energy to practice pretend play. This is particularly true in families that are struggling financially. When you combine this reality with the fact that executive function skills develop over a long period of time, really throughout childhood, these very skills become vulnerable to negative disruption from a wide variety of circumstances like poverty, abuse, chaos, and stress. While imaginative play is, thankfully, not the only means by which executive functions and prosocial behavior can develop, it is a very accessible means, a motivating means, and a fun for children means of development. Meet me in video 3 to learn what we as adults can do to support imaginative play in children's lives. The link to video 3 is in the description below, and if you want to take down the research sources, I'll show them for a few moments here.